Welcome to the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship Application Workshop. In this workshop, we'll walk you through the application process and give you insights into how to complete your application. First, a few nuts and bolts. There is a website on Michigan Tech's web portal that is oriented towards SURF. You can reach it by going to mtu.edu/surf. There's also an email, surf@mtu.edu, that you can use when you have questions that come up about your SURF proposal. Overall, there are 3 elements of a SURF proposal. There's the student application form, the project description, and the faculty letter of support. The student application form consists of 4 areas. There's just basic information about you and how to contact you. Some information regarding your project and summer plans, the title of your project, your research mentor's names and contact information, start and end dates, how many hours per week you can devote to your summer SURF, and your summer classes you might be considering enrolling in. A little bit about your past experience in terms of research, internship, co-op, different things that you may have engaged in that would contribute to your SURF experience. And your intentions. Why do you want to do research? Just a short paragraph on that information. Also, one thing you'll note is that the basic information that we ask for does not include GPA. One of the things that we've learned over time is if we look at the GPA of applicants for SURF, there's very little alignment between GPA and the quality of the SURF application or the quality of the SURF work. So we don't ask for that information, and a lot of why we don't ask for that information, in addition to the data that we've seen, is that as faculty review your proposals, we don't want them to initially see your GPA and make a judgment about any applicant based on that number alone. What we want is a very thorough and robust review of the document that you submit that describes your research intentions. And that really is the 2-page project description. So you have 2 pages, and only 2 pages, to make a compelling case about why we should be funding your research. In that space, you need to introduce your topic, introduce the specific research question that you're going to address, and explain how you're going to attempt to answer the question that you've posed. You need to use most of the 2 pages of that project description to tell us what you're going to do. The introduction is necessary and important, but you really aren't writing a review of what's been done. You're trying to convince us that you have a good idea and that you're capable of carrying it out. A typical 2-page project description might be laid out like this. It is a collaborative effort between you and your faculty advisor, but it is primarily your original work. So you can consult materials from a faculty advisor. It really is rare that a student comes up with their own research problem. Very often that's something you do with your faculty advisor, but we want you to draft your own words to address the challenge and work with the advisor to then refine your proposal. So it is your work, but your advisor helps you refine it. And it's really important that you keep your 2-page project description to 2 pages. We do tell the reviewers that if it is over 2 pages, it is not acceptable and will not be reviewed, and thus not awarded. When we talk about introduction and problem statement, what we want you to do is convince the reader that you understand the field of study, share the problem and why it's an important problem to solve. Why is it so important in a global context? What is the overarching problem that this research addresses? Provide a clear research question, and that's what we mean by problem statement. What is the question that you hope to answer with your research? The approach section, which is really the majority of your proposal, in here you describe what you'll do to address the problem or answer the research question. A couple of finer points here is if the analysis is unique or new, please share some details about it, because the people who review your proposal won't be familiar with it. If the analysis is a normal, typical analysis for your field, simply name it, because it's likely that your proposal reviewers will already be familiar with your field, and they will just need to see the name of what it is that you plan to do. So you can assume your reviewers know almost as much as your faculty advisor about the problem. We do assign reviewers who are familiar with the field in which you're conducting your research. Want to encourage you to use graphs, pictures, and diagrams, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you include a reference in text in the figure caption with an example on the next slide. And please do label the subsections of your proposal to make it easier for the reviewer. I think one thing to keep in mind here is that this is a suggestion of how you may structure your proposal. Of course, you may do it a little bit differently depending on what it is you're hoping to accomplish. This is just one example of how you might structure your proposals, but it's clear and easy for the reviewer to follow. So in terms of figures, captions, and references, we expect you to embed the figure number within the text of the document. We expect you to have a figure number and a caption below the figure or above the figure, or whatever way is typical for your field of study. And be sure to have a description that helps explain the figure. So as you're adding a figure or a diagram into your proposal, use these guidelines. So we'd like you to conclude your proposal with your expectations for what you will have learned. So this would be the wrap-up section. Often this section will include a restatement of the problem that you're addressing and possible future directions based on what you believe you will have accomplished. A third page is allowed only for references, and it's important that you should have these. Any good research proposal relies on prior research work, and so having references shows that you have done your homework, that you understand a bit about the field, and that you are referencing prior work that was done that you're now building upon. Citations are usually found within the text of the document. This is an example of how you might give a citation with the author's name and then the year of the publication in parentheses. There's many ways you can do this, and you can check with your advisor on what would be appropriate for the field in which you work. And then you will have the list of references on that third page in alphabetical order in a format that is appropriate for your field as well. So there is one other helpful resource that you might want to consult that has some examples available to you that get into more detail about the project description. And you can find this resource by going to the mtu.edu/honors website. Click on the top menu bar on research, and it shows you a pull-down menu that will allow you to click on the word surf. When you go to that page, there's a menu on the right-hand side of the page where you can select a link to the project description. Here there's many more tips on writing your description and also examples of 5 successful SURF proposals from a variety of fields for you to take a look at and to model your SURF proposal after. So this is really helpful information, and I encourage you to visit this website, not just for this information, but also for other general information about the SURF application and the program. So other suggestions for you: proofread your proposal. Be sure to go over it with a fine-tooth comb. Sometimes it's helpful to have somebody who's unfamiliar with it proof it for you so that they can catch some of the things that it's easier for you to just fly by because you've looked at it so many times. Be sure to remove any comments and accept all changes in the document. None of the reviewers want to see an unfinished document like that. Put your name on your proposal. Up at the top in the header, beneath the title is a good place to put that. Use 12-point font. Anything smaller becomes challenging for our reviewers to review and read. And make sure your figures are legible, that they're large enough that we can actually see what's in them, as opposed to making it so tiny in order to fit into 2 pages that the figure becomes not illegible. So a few comments on proposal reviews. We will have 2 reviewers from your department or related field review your proposal. We typically have 50 to 60 applicants, and we this year will be giving out 15 fellowships. So it's a competitive field. The decisions about who is funded are based on the ratings, and what you'll see is that We ask our reviewers to rate the proposals as poor, fair, good, very good, or excellent on a numerical scale from 1 to 5. But what we find is that the average score for funded proposals is often between 4 and 5, and the average score for non-funded proposals is between 3 and 4. So you can see it's very tight. It's very competitive, and that we've received very well-written proposals. So be sure to follow the guidelines and review your proposal in detail so that you are more likely to have very good ratings for your proposal. So finally, if you have any questions, we encourage you to email surf@mtu.edu, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have about your application, about the materials, and about the timeline for reviewing and providing answers related to funding.